by the time I'm done with that, I'm sure most of our other guests are going to be able to join in. So I'll then at that point, I'll hand over to the chair of our focus group committee, Bira, to be able to take us into the questions. So if you just give me a sec, let me share my screen and we can go right into it. Okay, just give me a sec. Okay. Cool. Okay, thanks everyone. So welcome to the first of 15 focus group discussions that will be held as part of the Rivers 2050 vision. I would speak a bit about the Rivers 2050 vision projects, what we seek to achieve, what we've achieved so far, and also talk about why today's focus group discussion is very important to us. So why Reverse 2050? For those who have followed the project, probably had heard the story multiple times. The idea for this came in 2022 when I was passing through Qatar during the World Cup. I think this was in November 2022. Prior to this time, on the policy shapers team, about 2 or 3 of us had worked on long-term plans for states across Nigeria, and we had advocated for the River State government to set up a committee that looks at developing a long-term plan for our states. The last time this state had a long-term plan was in 1975, and that was done by a 20-year-old military governor, first military governor, His Majesty Alfred ZSP. Since then, our governance has been led, especially just by the ideas and premonitions of whoever is in office. And we think that that's not a sustainable way to do development. And so, so Qatar was one of the biggest inspirations for me as an individual. And then just thinking about the future of the state, especially everything going on currently at the moment. I mean, you agree with me that leadership in our state is fragmented at the moment, and that for any state, region, country to be able to develop, there's need for sort of a continuity as it relates to a common vision, a vision that can bring everyone together, not just the public sector, but the private sector, the civic actors, foreign investors, etc. And that's something that we've lacked for quite a while. And so in the midst of the project began in February, so this was a few weeks before the state of emergency. But in the midst of all of this political drama, we've been thinking a lot about how we can refocus the conversation to be about development, to be about the people. What matters more than anybody or any individual is that the Rivers people have to get development. Rivers people need to get jobs. Rivers people need to get power. Those are the kind of conversations that actually really, really matter. And so that's what we've been doing. Much more, because if you begin to look at what are some of the predictions over the next 25 years, these are international predictions from various agencies that have been made about Nigeria and the climate and environment, etc. I know there's so much on the screen, but I'll just take your attention to a couple of them. So for 2028, the International Energy Agency, IEA, has basically predicted that solar would overtake coal in electricity generation. And there's so much conversation around gas. I'm sure Mr. Isokorari, who's an expert in this, when we have our energy conversation, hopefully we can get him back to also chip in on that, because River State, most of the state now is dark, because I think there's currently a challenge at AFAM. And you agree with me that over the past year, it's been consistent. If the national grid is not falling, there's been consistent issues, right? And with the Electricity Act being signed, giving states the power to generate electricity, it's very important that we begin to think about what are the energy sources around us, whether it's for dams, whether you're looking at the Atlantic Ocean and the wind that comes through Bonny. We're looking at solar energy. We need to start thinking, or natural gas even. We need to start thinking about ways where we can basically generate our own electricity. And that from 2028, in 3 years' time, the world actually will be moving forward with stuff like that. There's also 10 years from now, in 2035, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics has predicted that there will be 5 million extra people in River State. That would be 500,000 people every year. And that begs the question, right? If at current 9 point something million population, we still have challenges with housing and food security and stuff, if we have 500,000 people coming into the States or being born or coming in, migrating from other states or migrating from the rural to urban areas, how would we feed them? How would we house them? Where would they live? What roads would they pass? That would bring more pressure to the resources that we have. And so we need to be thinking way ahead to be able to mitigate some of these challenges. There's also a small matter of 2032. I mean, this issue always brings a lot of like divisive conversations, but Deloitte had predicted that Nigeria's oil reserves will begin to deplete from the year 2032. And knowing that that's basically been what for close to 50 years, our state's economy has been built on oil, right? How do we think differently? I mean, through this project, we've started to engage with folks from Norway and Qatar and stuff, and seeing how they're using their oil wells to diversify their economy. That's definitely something we need to think about. And also look at the issue of gas as well. Gas being, I mean, Nigeria's decade of gas had begun. So gas being a huge source of energy and a huge potential for like growth of our economy. How do we begin to look at that as well as one of the things? And there's this final sad prediction about, which actually is here already, by 2040, the UN environment had predicted sea level rise, and that this sea level rise will begin to wipe off many coastal communities, especially for those of us who are along the Atlantic. And there are many rivers coastal communities. I'm from Connaught in Ogoniland, and that's a coastal community, right? The water level has started to rise. The beach is receding. The Nigerian thing is often to wait until it happens, and then we say, oh, it has happened, and we say, oh, it's an act of God, without really like preparing ahead for this. 2040 isn't so far away, it's just 15 years. So how do we ensure that we start thinking ahead and thinking for these coastal communities? How do we create resilience? But if particular communities need to migrate in the future, how do we ensure that, where would they even move to and stuff like that? So I think these are the kind of thoughts and things that we've been thinking about. And we hope that through the project, we can begin to inspire that kind of futurist thinking, ensuring that we don't get consumed with the now and here, but also are able to prepare for the future generations. There's also this one that has been on my mind, 2045, where it's predicted that robotics and AI will disrupt 30% of traditional jobs. My son was born last year. So if he goes to school for the 6334 system, in 16 years, that will be somewhere at 2041. That's when he'll start to work. So he'll be like, I don't know, 20-something years. And at this point, he will be starting work at the time when robotics and AI is disrupting the market. So what education are we preparing the kids of now to be able to fit into the work of the 2040s and 2030s? How are we ensuring? There's a time in Nigeria where River State had the best primary school infrastructure, the best content. We had people, foreigners coming in to come teach our students from way back. How have we left that? And today, you see some Rivers primary schools, public primary schools without roofs and stuff like that. So how can we prepare our kids for the future fully? And so these are the kind of things that we've been, tasking ourselves within the group. So this focus group discussion, bringing experts to look at the media and entertainment sector as a viable alternative and a viable growth sector to oil, as something that River State can really build on. And we're happy really to just have these very veteran experts in our midst who will be doing justice to today's conversation. Okay, so what have we achieved so far? Just quickly, quite a few things. The task force had been set up. We launched in February of 2025. So the task force has been set up. Over 100 people from, especially young people from across the 23 local government areas, had indicated interest to join. People from out of the states, many Rivers people in the diaspora as well are in that group, and we've been coordinating ourselves over WhatsApp. The task force itself also had selected or appointed chairs for the 4 groups, subcommittees, including the book committee, the launch committee, the survey committee, and the focus group committee, which is the committee hosting today's conversation. We've also launched a statewide survey, which would be on for quite a while. And we're open to ideas and thoughts on how we can really the goal is to get at least 50,000 responses, online and offline. So there'll be a lot of local enumerators going across local government areas to get thoughts. The survey basically gives people the chance to share their thoughts on where they are currently, what their current needs are, and what they want to see over the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and stuff like that. So that's basically what we hope to achieve through the survey, because this is one of the ways to get the voices of people directly into the Rivers 2050 vision book. We've also launched the Rivers 2050 Town Hall, which had our first episode was with Qatar, people who inspired us when this happened in 2022. And we had someone from the Qatari government come speak to us, because I mean, if you look at the geographic size of Qatar and River State, like 11,000 square kilometers together, the fact that they're a hydrocarbon economy, we're a hydrocarbon economy, and how they're changing from just being hydrocarbon to a knowledge economy, and how they're investing heavily in education, that's been inspiring to us. And so, yeah, if you check our YouTube, you'll see the conversation, full 1 hour conversation with the government official from Qatar. We've also extended invitations to all the former state governors. Hopefully they're going to oblige us and come, because we think that there's so many things to discuss as well. And that we're also really aware that irrespective of political inclinations and parties, for a vision like this to work, it needs political will, right? So that's why we want to be able to get them on early enough, as well as engaging like more experts from Singapore, Norway, all of these countries that, in a short time have been able to like move themselves really fast towards development, and how as a state we can begin to start thinking in that way and be conscious of that. Yeah, so the focus group discussion, this is the first of 15. Over the next 7 to 8 months, we'll be hosting focus group discussions across various topics: energy, blue economy, culture and tourism, youth development, sports, etc. And just looking at, if we want to diversify the state's economy, what are the other sectors that the state's leadership and us as a people should be looking towards? How do we keep talent? How do we build talent? How do we mine resources and stuff like that? So that's basically what this is focused on. So we're really happy that we're starting with a really, really huge bang, getting these really amazing people on the panel. So yeah, so everything for this project will go into the Rivers 2050 Vision book, which will be the first of its kind in Africa. It's a book that will be co-authored by citizens, talking about their future, talking about what they want to see. And this would be a citizen manifesto, which we hope will last for the next 25 years, which can then, be what we use to guide conversations around elections, which have already begun already, and future elections, not just this coming election, but also we guide how we demand for things from our government and give power back to the people, because democracy is about the people, right? People is the only constant word in the definition of democracy. So how do we ensure people have the power all through the process? So conversations from today, everything we've been discussing so far, all ideas and thoughts will be given to the people who actually give these ideas, with their pictures and names and stuff will be all listed in there. And yeah, we hope that by the time the book is published, we hope that by Q1 2026, we'll be able to launch this and then begin to influence the conversations that will come up for the next election cycle. Okay, so meet the expert panel. We have a really wonderful panel for today's conversation. I'm really inspired by the sheer number of people that we're starting with. At first, we're like, are we sure we can pull this off and get all of this busy people all around the same time? But somehow we've managed to do that. And we've broken this into the various entertainment and media sectors. So we have film, we have people from music, we have people from media, and we have Keo Baba, who's from comedy. Permit me to introduce, I'll just read quickly the summarized version of their bios. We had shared this on social media, so you can see the full version on socials. So we have for music, the music experts, Mr. Priye Isokrari and Olumati Isaiah. Mr. Priye is a Nigerian entrepreneur, creative executive, over 15 years of experience, the founder and former CEO of Aristocrats Group. Those who came in earlier heard the songs we were jamming from Burna Boy. Aristocrats obviously is an African pioneering creative company that's helped to launch the career of Grammy award-winning artist Burna Boy. Also under Mr. Isokrari's leadership, Aristocrat has become a 360-degree entertainment powerhouse, working across publishing, production, distribution, and film. Mr. Isokrari also he co-founded Midas Radio. He's also one of the early executive producers of the hit podcast, I Said What I Said, which is one of Nigeria's biggest podcasts at the moment. Currently, he's working in the energy space. He's the managing director and CEO of Duncan Investment Limited, an energy infrastructure company leading and also working on the development of the Duncan Integrated Petrochemical Complex in River State. And so, like I said, hopefully when we get to the energy focus group, if we can get the time on Mr. Sokrari's calendar, we hope we can get him back, because we think that gas is one of the most important conversations that we should be having. He continues to champion innovation, local content, youth empowerment across both creative and industrial sectors. He advises emerging startups, contributes to national policy conversations, and remains committed to building the future of River State through enterprise and cultural development. I will also introduce Olumati quickly. Olumati Isaiah, widely referred to as the principal, is the principal of Myros Empire and the Olumati Company. He's a geologist by training with a BSc from the prestigious University of Port Harcourt. He's a polymath, as we know. Isaiah works across so many things, the conference speaker, reaching over 3 million people every year. Last in the 2020 elections, not wanting to stay by the sidelines, Olumati actually went into the general elections and seeking elected office for the River State House of Assembly to contest for the Port Harcourt constituency 1. While also serving in government, he served as a member of the immediate past caretaker committee for the Port Harcourt Local Government Council, and I was supervisor also for the youth and sports group. So it will be interesting to hear Olumati's thoughts around this as well. So moving on to our film experts, I just want to introduce them quickly so I can throw this to Bira to host the panel conversation. We have Mama Hilda Dokubo, who is also my in-law. As I say, my wife's from Buguma as well. She's an alumna of the University of Port Harcourt, where she earned her bachelor's degree and master's degree in theater arts. She made her screen debut during her youth service in 1992. She's been in this space for such a long time, won so many awards, as you guys know, was also given the award Best Actress in a Supporting Role and Best Actress in Comedy category at the 11th African Movie Academy Awards. She's founded several initiatives that have helped to discover several talents in the South, including Street to Star, the Center for Creative Arts Education, to mention a few. And she continues to find ways to support talents from the South to be able to make it to the stardom and starlight. I also have Priye Diri, who is a film writer and director, passionate about telling stories about women who lead unconventional lives. Priye has done a lot of work. She's put her 2017 short film, Zozo, earned a nomination for the Real Time Film Festival. She's also been commissioned to direct 2 feature films, Real Number 1 and Chimera. She's won so many awards, as you know, 2024 Film Independent Fellow, Mandela Washington Fellow, etc., etc. And she's currently working on her first feature film, Baby Girl. I have as well from the film industry, Jennifer and Kim Enaya, as well, one time this, one time that, so many things, dynamic media entrepreneur, lawyer, creative director, with over a decade of experience in screenwriting, filmmaking, communications, public speaking, etc. You know her a lot more because of her work pioneering content for kids through the Maritime Studios. She's also written for Tinsel. She's also been a screenwriter for Broken Hallelujah, Zina, For My Girls, to mention a few. She's also writing books as well for kids as well, and that's something she's been doing as an author since 2010 as well. And she's a mistress of ceremonies, public speaker, World Economic Forum Global Shaper, member of the Screenwriters Guild of Nigeria, to mention a few. I have media, and then finally I'll go to comedy. So for our media experts, we have Sam Oracle Chinedu, seasoned multimedia professional with over a decade of experience in the dynamic world of broadcasting. Sam, you hear Sam on radio, Nigerian Info, across the various shows, Morning Crossfire, Hard Facts, Hello Port Harcourt, and Let's Talk. He specializes in news reporting, news writing, analysis, and has conducted over 3,000 interviews with individuals from diverse walks of lives, proficient in cutting-edge technology, also has a very engaging podcast as well, where he explores the depth of human experience through his daily podcast. I also have Eyitoyo Casimir, who is a radio broadcast journalist and news team lead for Port Harcourt at Megalectrics Limited, and those are the operators of Beat FM, Classic FM, and Niger FM. He's had over 10 years of experience as a radio broadcaster across 3 states, and yeah, he's covered quite a number of stories and issues across the states he's worked in, namely Niger, Ekiti, and River States. He's a spoken word artist and a creative, and also part of his local community center's creative production team. And finally, I have Kale Baba, who joined us at some point. Kale, the comedy mayor of Port Harcourt, is the CEO of Talkaholic Unlimited. He started his comedy career also in the 90s. He's known for his rip-cracking jokes, witty one-liners, hilarious storytelling, as we all know Kale. Port Harcourt boy through and through, attended Baptist High School in Port Harcourt, draws inspiration from everyday life, politics, and social issues. He also in 2018 received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Nigerian Comedy Awards. I was also nominated for the Best Comedian at the 2006 African Magic Viewer Choice Award. In 2019, he began a youth-oriented convention, an event called the Kale Baba Youth Convention, which is a platform for encouraging young people and promoting youthful productivity and efficiency. So I had to take time to introduce all of these guests just so that the room understands the value and the power that we have in the house. Thank you so much for joining this conversation, our experts. I'll hand over now to Chair of the Focus Group Committee, Bira, to take over. You have noticed that you also cannot unmute. We did this so that we can control the room. At this point, I would ask all the speakers to unmute. I'll just send you the request to unmute so that you can speak. So over to you, Bira.
Okay, thank you so much, Eben. I hope we can all hear me.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Eben. And a very, very warm welcome to all our speakers for this particular focus group discussion. I must say that this is a landmark one because this is the very first focus group discussion we're going to be having for the Rivers Vision 2050. Just like Eben said, this is the first of about 15, and we are happy to have our speakers. So let's get right in because I can look at my time and we are very fast spent, and so let's dive right in. So once again, a very warm welcome. So I'll throw the first question to all the members of the panel, or all our panelists. So basically, we want to know the team and everyone who's on this call, to all our panelists, as people who have been in Rivers State, we understand that most of us travel for events and gigs and all of that, but predominantly are based in Rivers State. So as people who have stayed in Rivers State to build their career or to build your career in media and entertainment and achieved both national and international success, what made you stay? Right? Because we understand that it's not a news that a lot of creatives will want to, move to Lagos in quote for greener pastures or to get the opportunities in quotes, right? What made you stay? And then to take it a little further, how can we really stop this entire idea of creatives moving from, Port Harcourt to Lagos and other cities for all that this move represents? What can we really do? So I'll throw this to Mama Hilda Dokubo to begin the conversation. Over to you, Ma.
So maybe we should start with Mr. Isokarari. I'm asking Mama Hilda to unmute, so let me give her some tech support. You can see that Mr. Isokarari is unmuted already. Okay, we can see you, Ma.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for inviting me. It was a real long background study to this conversation. When I first got the invite, I thought to myself, 2050, if I reach now. And for some reason, in 2017, River State had actually put together a document, Vision 2050, which I don't know whether you saw or not. And then before then, there was another Vision um, 2050, which was done. I didn't see that because I too was very young, which was done by the Spiff's administration. So those documents are there and alive, but a lot has changed between then and now. And like you said, in 2050, perhaps young kids would need more than just the IT that we know today to survive, especially if they want to do great jobs. So I'm therefore going to ask us in this house, um, the people who did the background study, did you try to get those two documents? Have you seen them? Have you ever heard about them? Have you read them? If not, I would suggest that after this meeting, that you do the best that you can to get those two documents so that we see the similarities and the differences, and then it's when you do review based on changing trends, you'll be able to do it knowing also that these documents that they've been using or not using, we would see where the gaps are. Having said that, and listening to you about the challenges that we'll face, like I was looking at that long map that you pushed out, and I thought to myself, this our oil has been depleting since 2015. We're 2025, 10 years after, they're still putting depleting all the way forward. So there's something that they're not telling us. Two is also the fact that the federal government has been taking quite a lot of loans and nobody has told us what the collateral has been. We have no idea. Is it that they've been using this oil or not? Because both oil and gas are all here. In fact, Bonnet has the richest, clearest gas globally. So, we have a few things to boast about. So, what are they using? Where are we on understanding that? Um, Three, the Simnalai Wike Tinubu drama. I will think that for now, every one of us inside of this room should do the best that we can to just blank off on that drama that is ongoing, because everything you see online may or may not be true. Why am I saying that? I slept and woke up one morning, and these same rascals who work with Wiki had gone online to write that I was suspended by Labour Party when there was indeed nothing like that. And they ran with it. They tried it twice. It didn't work for them. So these are a group of people who like to tell lies. The last time we also saw them push out another lie. Oh, Signalai Fubara knelt down, put his head on the floor and was begging it so we can blah, blah, blah. It turned out another lie. So now we have this, we know that, okay, peace conversations have been on. So I would say, let's not allow that bother us. Let's focus on what we are doing until we hear that, okay, suspension has been lifted. Ete has left River State. River State is either back in the hands of management of STEAM, or Wike is now both Minister of FCT and Governor of River State, or whatever. But for now, I would say, let's not allow that in any way trouble us. Let's focus on what we are doing. Is Vision 2050 enviable? My answer would be yes. And so, if it's a good thing for us to begin to have this conversation, and it's also time for some of us to contribute our little quota, what you haven't said to us in this conversation is, why are we holding this conversation? Is this a study for a group? Is it something that we want to give to the government? Is it something that the international community has asked for? Is it just something out of curiosity? Is this something for educational purpose? Why are we doing this? Because that too will guide our conversation, um, so that we don't, it's like somebody having headache and you start giving the person medicine for malaria. It won't make any sense. It's an overkill. So if we understand exactly why we're holding this conversation, then it would also guide me. And then finally, as an opening speech, until if I'm asked to talk specifically on something, then I would look at it. I want for us to understand that um, River State has been in some kind of very silent tussle with Lagos State. Both states were created on the same day. Both states are on the same waterline. When they brought Ete to River State, I told somebody this was all about our money, and indeed, they've been able to prove me right that this was all about our money. So, concerning the creative economy, if there were older people in this room, they'll be able to tell you that in the 80s, River State had the best FM. In fact, people used to travel from Lagos to Port Harcourt to just come and be in our clubs. It was that good in terms of creative economy, entertainment, and all of that. We had everything. Then by 1999, the first lineup of fights started. And this was when Governor Peter Odili became governor of Rivers State. And he was being addressed as the Golden Governor. And the present president was governor of Lagos State. And Lagos State was called the trash city of Nigeria. And so that thing didn't go down well with the man at that time. So a whole lot of political rubbish happened that is still going on till today. All the oil companies moved their headquarters from Rivers State and moved them to Lagos State. And then they began to attack the creative economy. Till today, they're still attacking. And it is that attack that we're still suffering even now in terms of the state government. But what is my concern with all of this? If you know where your problem is, you'll be able to deal with it. I'm bringing this to all of you that are young people, so you know when some of the things that you will put down on paper, if this is meant for any other uh, organization or community, maybe international organization, I need you to know that they can take it. And then the next story you will hear, you may not like. So just prepare yourselves. Not that I'm a messenger of doom, but I like for people to prepare themselves before anything happens. So let me, at this point, say if the question is on creative economy, I'll be able to address it head on. And as you already all know me, I don't know how to paint words. I will tell you the truth the way it is. I will give you the advice that I have as a sister, a mother, and a very proud Rivers woman. And God willing, the state will return back to normal. I wish that everybody knew this before all the drama started. People wouldn't have been too worried about all the things that are playing out today. So once again, thank you very much for having me. And let me also add that NDDC also has a projection plan, which they have called the master plan. And within that master plan is also the plan for River State. So So we know we have background documents that we must review going forward. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mama. Yes, thanks a lot for flagging all of these documents. Yes, we are aware of some of them, and for the ones that you've called that we actually do not know, we will definitely go make a lot more research. So we had done quite a bit of secondary data research to find out what are the documents that already exist. And so all of these are actually going to feed into the Rivers 2050 vision. Just to also clarify that the vision document is being done for us. It's all of us young people in our 20s, in our 30s, and who are wondering about the future of our states and are feeling like we can do a lot more for our state, much more than just complain about it on social media. And so that's why we've all come together to be able to push this project. So there's no international organization, there's no politician funding this. It's all being funded by all of us so far. And it's because of the interest that we have and the worry and the burden that we have for our states. So thank you so much, Ma, for the insight. And I like that you touched a bit as well on the creative economy and some of the challenges that we face in that space. So speakers, you can unmute now. I think I'll pass this on now to, because of our time, I'll pass this on now to Mr. Isokrari, so you can take us on. Maybe touch a bit on the question that that Bira also spoke about, and if you have any responses as well to the points that Mama Hilda said. Yeah, thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you for inviting me for this focus group and support the Reverse 2050 vision. Very, very proud of the work you guys are doing. I think to touch on what Madam Hilda said, it will be to make sure that we're consolidating. We're not forgetting what we've left, what has been done in the past, as we try to update and develop a future master plan, either for ourselves, and hopefully we can take it a bit further than just for ourselves and push it towards the necessary parties that would help in terms of implementing this vision that we're trying to enhance right now. I think on the matter of, I think you asked of why we stayed in River States, why we've operated in River States. I was born, bred in Port Harcourt, River State, from Asari local government area, Calabari boy. I've always wanted to create a platform. I always believe that creative excellence can be built anywhere. If we do the right things, make the right investments in the infrastructure, in the talent, and build like an ecosystem. My journey with Aristocrat started here in Port Harcourt, and we've been able to, and we've shown that global success stories like Burna Boy can originate from here. Coming back to the Lagos matter, Lagos still remains a magnet because of the politics, and then, but through those political maneuverings and things that have happened, they've been able to establish network and infrastructure to stem the brain drain. I would say we need to kind of come together as we're doing now, particularly to kind of build more, build a new ecosystem, both physical and non-physical, like in terms of people coming together, modern studios, co-working space, and then find ways to offer incentives for the people that are still here. Local policies that kind of prioritize entertainment as an industry with economic potential, not just a cultural tool per se. So we also need to also build capacity amongst our young people. If you look at the Burna journey per se, especially from the River State point of view, what did we do as Aristocrats? We provided resources, both financial and a studio where he could work out from, a producer, a creative team, marketing support. Of course, his mother was there to kind of handle his business management. So it's not just about the talent, the ecosystem around the talent is as important, if not more important, in terms of building that. So what we've seen now is there are a lot of new talents being sprung up due to the success of the talents that are coming out from River State, but we are neglecting the the core of the ecosystem. So that's one thing I feel like we need to kind of address.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Bira, are you here? Are you still here?
Yes, yes.
Okay, while Bura is trying to sort out his tech issues, we can move on to the next person. I can see Isaiah is here, Sam is here. Isaiah or Sam, and any of you, do you want to take the question? Yeah.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Okay, Sam. Okay, Sam. Okay, so let's do Sam first. So Sam and then Isaiah. Over to
Does
you,
my
Sam.
face need to show? Is it important?
We need your face, yes.
That's a problem. Someone who works in radio. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Two questions. Before I answer your question, how long am I supposed to speak for, and is everyone supposed to speak for?
Yeah, so this
Oh
first
my.
question was supposed to be a quick just take. Did you hear my response?
Yeah, I think you said it's supposed to be quick. The network got in the way, but I think I heard that.
Yes.
I hope you can hear me because I keep breaking. Yeah, so to answer the question directly, why did I come to Rivers and why did I stay? I think that's an abridged version of the question. The shallow answer is that I got a better media deal. I've been in media for quite some time, but my entire career was not in Port Harcourt. So I got an offer from a radio station in Port Harcourt that kind of offered better than what I got. So the pool was materialistic. But the reason why I stayed is because Port Harcourt proved to be a better place to start a family. I mean, Eben, you know me and a few people here. When I came here, I wasn't married, and I got married the year that I came into Port Harcourt, and I started a family. So, when that thing happens, it's usually more difficult to leave and to migrate like that. So let's say I came because of an offer, I stayed because of family, and everything that Port Harcourt has offered so far has become a part of my life experience. So yeah, that's a way to answer the question. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam. Isaiah, do you want to go next?
Oh yeah, good evening, everybody.
Evening.
I hope you can
Yeah.
hear. So
Yes, we can hear you.
permit me, I might not stay so long on the video because I'm driving, but I can speak nonetheless. Thank you, Eben. Thank you to the entirety of the team for putting this together. So I was born in Lagos. I was born in the Denmark current called Victoria Island. I grew up around the Beachland Estes Navy Town Secondary School before moving to Rivers State in it lightheartedly. I'm a real Port Harcourt boy because I'm from Port Harcourt local government. I'm not from outside Port Harcourt saying I'm a Port Harcourt boy. I hope you get the joke. Anyway, the reason why I stayed back was because by the time I had come into Rivers State, I could see the far cry between both states, Lagos and Rivers, in terms of the operations. And part of what I practice is management consulting, which came first as a skill, my ability to look around and see difference, identify markers, and take decisions based on them. And by the time I weighed Lagos and Port Harcourt, I said to myself, I will stay back in Port Harcourt. Reason being that at the time, Lagos was already a red ocean. And Port Harcourt said to myself, why not as a market leader in Port Harcourt? I could tell that the population will increase, which you have seen, and it has quadrupled since 2020. I could tell that after a time, following all the statistics and prescience, that we would need to build proper economy around what we have, and the prices have increased in the last 5 years. I could tell. And I said to myself, I will stay in this city and become a market leader as against going to Lagos. After all, this is my hometown. This is where I would retire back to. And if I see a thriving Lagos, I must be a contributor to the future thriving possibilities of my own hometown. It is premised on this, based on the facts that I could see, that I decided to stay back. And I think it has been a worthwhile decision. Maybe in terms of commercial success, we would have done differently if we had, probably gone outside the city, probably would have hit extra miles. Just maybe. But I think that we have not done badly, contributing to the value system, while people like Graftins and uh, uh, the craft people have done their bit. We have also done our bit predominantly for gospel music. Though we do more than that, but we've given more of our energy in that space, where we do gospel music for entertainment and all of that. And we've seen such an increase in terms of how we've been able to monetize that space, able to drive success and argue our place in the industry, which is very difficult, because when you walk around spiritual spaces, the argument is difficult, the resistance is stiff, so we've been able to fight the resistance up until this point, and we are hoping that we can further broaden the net in terms of how we exchange and the enterprise of that exchange. So yes, the core reason why I have stayed back, regardless of the offers I had received over the years, is because I could see
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I guess network had the better part of it, right?
that River State is a blue ocean, even up until this time. And then we could drive market leadership early in that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you once again. Thank you so much, sir. To wrap this particular question up, I can see Jennifer. So I'd like Jennifer to please unmute her and just say just respond to the question, and then a few words to what is being said. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. Good evening. All protocols duly observed. So I'll just, say this as quickly as possible. So I am not an indigene in the biological sense of the word of River State, but I've lived here for 15 years. So I believe I have gained my certificate of naturalization. I came to Port Harcourt, to River State, Port Harcourt, because I got married and my husband was working here. And that's why I moved here. And I started working here. So at first, it wasn't necessarily a matter of choice. You're raising a family and all of that. But as I started to grow in my career, as I started to broaden my horizons in the media, I found that, unfortunately, and it still happens even up till now, most of my jobs, I'm a screenwriter, I'm a media entrepreneur, I'm an author, and I'm an MC, etc., etc., etc. I find that even up till now, most of my jobs, my high-paying jobs, still come from outside the state. So the question now is that a lot of people ask me, my friends, my family, why haven't you moved to Lagos? For me, I'll say I feel like Lagos is an oversaturated market for those in my industry, and I'm thinking of, okay, how do I stand out instead of get subsumed by this already existing space? Now, for me, there are many ways I've been able to do that, from starting up my own company to creating niche content for children and teenagers and so on and so forth. But aside from that, I still write movies for adult movies in cool. When I say adult movies, it's always funny because people think that, but you get what I mean. Movies for adults. I still do all of that. I still operate in that space. But staying in Port Harcourt for me was a matter of standing out. I didn't just want to be another statistics. I wanted to be in a space. Maybe you call it being a big fish in a not so big. I didn't want to be a small fish in an oversaturated pond. I felt if I started from a space where I could stand out, I would be able to create impact faster and scale faster than if I was in Lagos. But like I said, it's been hard because even while you're doing that, you realize that the funding for your business is still not coming from the state you're resident in. It's still coming from outside the state. So to summarize, why have I stayed? Part of it is sentimental. There's some sentiment to it. I've been here for 15 years. I've built something here. I'm hoping it will flourish and grow. And part of it is, the impact thing. You're hoping that, okay, in this time that you have gone, in this this investment you have made in this space, that it will pay off over the long run. Thank you.
Well, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Just quickly to our music experts, I'll throw this question first to Mr. Isokrari before Isaiah Lumati, right? So with the growth of digital music distribution, what do you think are the investments that we need, or that the state needs, from either from the public or the private sector, to ensure that the state can benefit from this rise? Something that can help us create or have more Burna Boys and more Prince Emmanuels, basically.
So regarding digital digital music has democratized access for artists. So in terms of location, you can upload your music and be anywhere and distribute it around the world. But here we still need professional ecosystems that can convert like the talent into like actual careers. From the public sector, I'll say we need investments in recording studios, digital labs, performance spaces, creative spaces, not just focused on the artists themselves, but the entire ecosystem. We also need funding schemes, grants, soft loans, tax incentives for the music business and the film business too. In Atlanta, Georgia, there are tax credits given for when you come and shoot movies in the States. So there are things like that that the government can do. From the private sector, there's room for investment in digital platforms that kind of tailor to like African music, partnerships with telecom companies that can help maybe reduce data, which is a barrier for most of the fans, the cost of data. So we should invest in talent management, legal education, publishing administration, the things that make the talent tick. Not just the artists or the creative sector alone. And then with that, hopefully we'll be able to build catalogs that will generate enough revenue for the artists and the states.
Thank you so much, sir. That's so much in less than in about a minute or so. Thank you. Now over to Isaiah Olumati. Please just unmute and share your thoughts on this.
So I think the last speaker has summarized it all. It's not about the
Hello, sir.
has been democratized already. Right? It is the entirety of the ecosystem. Music is such a way, music is designed in such a way that every platform none is standalone, right? So it has to be a total. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Can you
sir.
hear me?
Please go on. We can hear you now. Please go on, sir.
Yeah, so I said the last speaker has said it all, right? It's literally what it is, because the digital space has been democratized, as he said, so we can operate really from any part of the world, and the investments that will have any impact on that sector has to be holistic. It's not just about a platform, because music is designed, the enterprise platform is interdependent. If you sing, distribute the music. If you distribute the music, there's a litany of people behind that, from producers to other songwriters to extra performers, musicians. So it's a long list, right? That entire ecosystem requires the investment. And I think that for this part of the world where we are, part of what we require is an investment in knowledge, especially for those people who have the funds for investment. I have realized that there is a knowledge gap. That first
Hello, sir.
I think we might have to.
Hello, sir.
them think or
Hello,
see
sir.
music
Can you hear me?
not as a
It might be wise to
functional
excuse him for
piece.
now until maybe this is resolved.
So
It
it's
might
a
be the smart thing to
problem.
do.
Hello, Isaiah. If you can hear me, your network is breaking, and we can barely hear. We can barely hear you. Okay. So it's off. Okay, so we'll just move on. I think you join us as we move on, as we progress. So now I'll just speak to our film experts. I would want to have Jennifer respond to this first, and then we'll have Priye Diri and Mama Hilda Dokubo. Right, but to Jennifer first, right? So what do you think, from your experience and from everything you already know, what do you think is the state of the film industry in Rivers State? And then, in your opinion, what is stopping us from, growing our industry or the industry in Rivers State, and helping us tell our own unique story to the world in a short time, please?
Okay, thank you for that question. So the thing about River State is people are always trying to find out what the problem is. I mean, I've attended countless seminars, webinars, breakout sessions, research sessions. Everybody's trying to say, okay, surveys. It's always, somebody's always trying to find out what is the problem? What is the problem? Of course, I would say from my own perspective, which I think has been repeated several times over, funding is a major problem. Okay. Do you have a project, whether it's a production, a film production, or a movie production, or, or in my case, animation, I produce animation, and you're speaking to prospective investors, and nobody in this immediate community is willing to invest in your idea or your project, and maybe somehow or the other you go ahead and do it anyway, or you find investors from outside of here. So for me, again, like I said, I've been at countless sessions where we have deciphered, dug into it, investigated it, researched it, and the problem comes back, the answer comes back to the same thing: funding. And now I'm not just talking about Rivers State, I'm talking about Nigeria in general. I've been opportune to attend film festivals outside of Nigeria. A few years ago, I was sponsored by the French Embassy to attend MIP Junior in France. And MIP Junior is a gathering of all the children's content creators around the world, essentially. And I was surprised to see some of the countries that were represented there. Iran, Iraq, they had representatives there. Guess who did not have representatives there? Africa. There was the only Africans that were at that festival was one South African woman that sponsored herself and the Nigerian delegate, and we were only there because the French embassy sponsored us. And guess what? While we were there, we were hearing like the UK government, the Canadian government, the Netherlands, they all have grants, funds for content. Like, in Nigeria, we're all hustlers. Everybody's an entrepreneur. You're hustling, you're bootstrapping, you're doing this, you're doing that. You're putting your coins one on top of the other to make this production, to make this film, to do that. Half of the time, they don't have to do that. They don't put their personal money into their projects because they are government funds, they are grants, and they're easily accessible to them. In fact, I remember during one of the sessions we had there, the UK, some rep from the UK was telling us about funding available for people in creating content for children. And we asked, okay, how can non-UK based non-citizens access such things? And they jokingly said that we should stay on the internet. That when it gets to that point, we'll find out about it. This was like 2 years ago, so of course that's not happening anytime soon. So the point is, I do not think that we as a people have ascribed. And then we hear, so I know that we hear from time to time, we hear of this Bank of Industry is releasing some funding for creatives. It never trickles down. I don't know who gets all that, or those whenever those things happen, I never know who gets it. And then I think there was one recently that I saw, and then you're reading through the requirements, and you're like, okay, are these for super established producers or production companies? Who is this fund supposed to address? Who is this fund supposed to address? Is it not supposed to be the grassroots, the people that actually need this funds? Are you creating funds? Are you creating grants that are only accessible by those that are already established? So yes, like I said, it's not even just a reverse problem. Yes, it seems to be more predominant here because for some reason, the synergy, sometimes it seems like the synergy is about there's some synergy and then it just falls away and, there's nothing but air at the end of the day. But yeah, that would be my number one thing. And then of course, there's also, and then there's also the Lagos thing. Lagos is very good with visibility and platforming people, So you're in Lagos. So that's one of the reasons why I say people are always asking me, why aren't you in Lagos? Because the people in Lagos have not done a percentage of have not put in a percentage of the efforts that you have put in, but they have the platforms, they have the visibility, We haven't even established platforms that give us the same kind of visibility. So regardless of whatever project you do, if you cannot find a Lagos brand to push it for you, you still have to end up, no matter what you're doing here. A few times I've been featured in national newspapers, and it's still somebody in Lagos that reaches out to me from Lagos and says, "Oh, Jennifer, we see what you're doing." It's like, I'm like, is this at this point, I'm like, is this a spiritual thing? It's almost an endless cycle, and I don't know if it will ever end. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over to Priedi, please, in a short time. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Jennifer that resources. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes.
Oh yeah,
Please.
so I agree with Jennifer that resources is a problem, and that's like one of the major problem. But I also think that aside the government, yeah, we need private investors. Yes, the government can give resources. Yes, the government needs to have grants, etc. But we need private investors also to be able to put their money in the hands of independent filmmakers, local filmmakers. We need to have local businesses to understand that storytelling is not just about entertainment, but it's about also creating jobs. I hear the thing about Lagos, and I'm always, I mean, it's mixed feelings with the entire Lagos conversation, because I like to say that, like, I was in Port Harcourt for a long time before I moved out of Port Harcourt, and I moved out of Port Harcourt because I didn't have the support system that I needed. You want to be a filmmaker, you want to get into the film industry, and there are not people who are willing to hold your hands to walk you through, and people who have gone ahead of you. And so we know that when you go to Lagos, the Yorubas, they have that. They support their own, they hold their people, they put their names in rooms, but it's not the same with Rivers people. And I say that for myself. And I know that it can just be me, but I'm speaking for myself that it wasn't the same. It wasn't easy having to move to Lagos and having to start pursuing people, introducing myself. So I think that when Priya was talking earlier, he talked about an ecosystem. We need to have that ecosystem. We cannot keep relying on outsiders to come tell our stories for us. We need to be able to tell our stories ourselves. I think I saw the King Jaja of Opobo story that was acquired by Ramsey Noah and Charles of Play. I love them, no doubt. But I was just like, why are we not telling these stories? Why are we not having people who are from River State who have the money to put their money in projects like this? Why are outsiders coming in to tell our stories for us?
Hello, Priya. Sorry. I just want to remind you of the time you wanted us to do the Alu4 story. Do you remember when you formed a WhatsApp group and all of that? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm saying this because, I mean, Jennifer and I, we've talked about, let's do stuff together, but it always boils down to the funding. It always boils down to the funding. When you don't have resources, when you don't have people that can support you, when you don't have funding and we're independent filmmakers. When Kilborough was made in Port Harcourt in 2023 or 2024, people kept asking me, oh, Kilborough was shot in Port Harcourt, you wrote the screenplay. I'm like, I had to literally beg Uncle Steve. I said, when I was writing this script, I wrote it in Port Harcourt. It is a Port Harcourt-based story. I would be so heartbroken if we move it out of Port Harcourt just because you say we don't have the manpower to shoot it in Port Harcourt. And then he says, okay, yeah, connect me to someone in Port Harcourt that can make it happen. And I connected him to Kester in Sirim, and that's how that film was made in Port Harcourt. So I'm just saying, we need to rely on our people. We need to make sure that we have training. Mentorship is very important for young people, for young filmmakers that are starting up. You cannot expect them to come into the industry. And like Jennifer said, the industry is so big. It's so diverse. You say you're a female filmmaker, you're a director. You're not the only female director. There's like Biodun Steven and a host of other people. You have to compete with them whether you like it or not. And the industry does not care if you don't have resources. They don't care if you're from Port Harcourt or you don't have the people to support you. People will come to you based on the work that you can do. So how do we, if we're thinking about building an ecosystem, how do we make sure that we have people in places to support? My sister works in film distribution. She works with Film One. She's there. How do we make sure that when we make films in Port Harcourt, it can land on her table? Because then she's able to say, yes, this film is good enough to go to sales. I feel like we need to also have, what's it called? A mentorship session. We need to think about like people who are trying to come into the film industry in Port Harcourt, and that's how we begin to grow the industry in the States. How can we make sure that people who are beginning to come into the industry, writers, directors, producers, cinematographers, how can we create training programs for them so that they are able to equip themselves and they can compete with people in the outside world? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Priya. Very well said and passionately said, I must say. Mama Hilda is still on the call. So, Mama, please, can you unmute and just speak to this in a few minutes?
Your question is what is the fate of film industry in Rivers State?
In Rivers State, yeah.
Okay, so I will tell you what our faith is. Our faith is in our hands. If we look inside our hands, whatever we see That's what it is. Priye said something here, that there are no persons holding people's hands. The hands that has been reached out to people who use another knife from the second hand, and they cut that hand so badly that the hands almost either fell off completely, or the people are still in the hospital till now. And these are all Port Harcourt stories. If anybody started the first talent hunt show in Nigeria, it is I, Hilda Dokubo, Street to Star, from where Timaya and Co came out from, right? This girl is there. When she was doing her program for children, she reached out to me, and she's there as witness to say, not just that I gave a hand, I also stood by her all the way through. So I don't know the people you have been talking to in Rivers State who have not held your hands, but you know, you by yourself just said you reached out to Kester, and Kester made it happen. So we have to be a bit careful when we throw words the way we like. But let me say what is holding us. What is holding us is the fact that I had mentioned here earlier that there is a subtle fight. It's very silent, but it's also very deep. That fight has been on for many years. Two, it's a perception thing. They have created the perception that something cannot happen around here. And there are quite a lot of people here who do not understand the business of filmmaking, the ecosystem of it, and all the other arsenal businesses that are tied to filmmaking. All they know is that there is a movie and there's somebody in front. In fact, sometimes they say the movie belongs to the actor without knowing that there's a producer and an executive producer, because they don't understand it. So there's a lot that we can talk. And funding in film is not just money. It's way more than money, much more than money. And the people around here do not understand it yet. Now, when film hit its boom period, was also the time when Rivers State was in its peak of crisis, when you had all the bad people running up and down the whole place. We have had 3 different administrations that did not understand the entertainment industry, and that even at the time when I was SA Youth, still did not understand the industry with as much documents as I wrote. They still were looking for, how does this amount to building and all of that. We set up an academy, the first that was accredited by Federal Ministry of Education. Please check, Center for Creative Arts Education. Every time I trained, there were very few people from Rivers State who applied, let alone who attended. But people were coming from Aba, from Asaba, from Enugu to attend. It is when we start doing things that they come out. This is one place where people have annoying, toxic arrogance about things. Some people just sing one line that makes absolutely no sense, and then they tell you that they are musicians. Somebody asks something that can't, you can't even pass for a monologue, and he tells you he's a filmmaker. So everybody here is big man by himself. And then people think that those of us who have paid the price and, are still paying, by the way, for everyone else to climb on our backs and excel, they think that the reason you are saying get trained is because you have some kind of degree. Some of us don't pack degrees, so we don't know the next one, say for one pack right now. And we try as much as possible to keep our CVs not reading one time this, one time that, because it actually makes no sense. What is the cockiness for? It makes no sense. But my take is this: if anybody is willing to try, let's go ahead and get it done. A young girl just finished a movie. I don't know what her last name is, Belema. We were minding our business. I was at work in my office. Belema came into that office and just said, Atilda, if you don't do this now, I will die for you. I followed Belema and shot for her. Today, we hear that thing is going to be premiered by NDDC. Right? Hello? Hello? Is anybody still in this room?
Yes,
We're here.
we can hear you. We can hear you.
if we want to make this work in Rivers State, I've given up on government. Mokona no vex, that's what I did. I've given up on this administration because 3 administrations down the line, they didn't understand it. The only governor whose body language, and a lot of people don't know why I support Simnala Ifubara. He's the only one who seemed to understand the creative economy and was willing to invest in it. The 3, including the one that I served on, that did not understand the creative economy. So whereas Lagos State government will set aside a grant for Lagos people, we do not have it in Rivers State. So this is my take as somebody who runs independent all the time. Get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever number of people who can agree. If you all have 1 million, put it together and shoot in turns. Shoot for me, I shoot for you, we shoot for us, and then we keep growing. That's how Yoruba people built their industry. That was how we originally built what is Nollywood now. Do for me, I do for you. We're at a point where you have all the big names, Netflix, this Flix, that Flix. They are all out, they are all going. People who were given money, the real big names who got money, used the money for something else, and now they are leaving. The cinema houses will always want a big name with which to market a movie. If they don't have it, they will not do it. So whether you like it or not, you will still need big names, 1 or 2, to put in. But by the time we run that chain, one time in this River State, I brought out my own money, 25 million I had earned money. And I said, this is money. AGN, come, let us work together. A few people messed it up. We don't want to go around all of these talks, but anybody who is willing to walk the talk, let us talk. We can build it because nobody gives you money for experiment. People give you money when you have succeeded. Where we are at is at experiment. So we will have to use our own resources to run these experiments, build the industry. When they see that we are thriving, they will come along. And that's why if you ask everybody, they'll tell you that my biggest thing right now is Tikiri. Once I set up Tikiri and we have done a few jobs using Tikiri, then we can all rest. And then the people like Priya and Co can be running from there. By that time, I go down old, I go down turn to I'm already Mommy Hilda. By that time, maybe I'll be Grandmommy Hilda. And then I'll be giving the part from the back. So that's all I have to say. Is it possible to do? Yes. But it would take all of us making real big sacrifices, putting money behind us and keeping our talents ahead of us. That's the only way to succeed with it. Forget government, they're not going to help you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Very well said. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'd like to say something if you don't mind. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Okay. I think and I believe that 2 things can be true. I'm not disagreeing with anybody, but what Hilda said and what, sorry, I didn't get her name, the one who said there's no support. They can both be right,
Yeah.
in the same ecosystem, in the same space. There could be people who wanted to help and there were not enough people coming out. And there could be people who need the support and they didn't get it. One statement does not invalidate the other. Now, one thing that I have learned is, and this is just by observation and being a practitioner, in the last 20 years, the most progressive industry in Nigeria has been entertainment. As much as there is a whole lot more that needs to be achieved, but that has been the most evolved industry. And the single reason why is because the government has not been involved. In one way or the other, you just have to look at it like that. Yes, they may have been supported by government somehow, but most things that the government gets involved in, it dies, except politics. That is the only industry that continues to thrive because corruption is the foundation. 25 years ago, you were considered wayward and useless if you wanted to be a music artist in Nigeria. When the Two-Face, the Plantation Boys of this world wanted to do music, I'm sure that they had people in their family that considered them failures. But guess what? There were record labels in Lagos. They did the small shows they did. Today, it is a thing of pride and honor to feature a Nigerian artist, right? The Whiskeys, the Burners, the Davidos of this world, they are now sought after world over. And believe they kept building, the videos got better, the production got better. All of that happened because government was not involved. Now, should government get involved? Yes, to the degree of support. But the truth is, it's a blessing and a curse. It is a curse in the sense that we are not as evolved as we should be. Listen, when I think about River State, because I work here, River State appears to me like, and no offense to whoever might be offended by this, the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We have a lot of amazing players, but as a team, we continue to fail. We have players that play in the best possible clubs. But when you gather those people together and they're supposed to be the Avengers, somehow they just do not save the day. River State is the origin story of success. It is a place where you say, oh, that's where Burna Boy came from. Oh, Timaya used to be from Rivers. Oh, this person, it is good for, that's where they started. They lived here. They are from here, but they are not here anymore. Unfortunately, that's what it is. Now, what needs to happen? Because River State has stars. The superheroes need to come together to somehow pull it off as Avengers. Now, if you're waiting for government, like Hilda said, my dear, stop waiting. Because one of the popular definitions of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something different. It's not going to happen. I challenge anyone right now. You don't even have to do it. You know, if you look up River State, the biggest headlines from this state is politics. And it's not a Sim Fubara Wike thing. Before Fubara, it was Wike Amechi. Before Amechi, it was Amechi Odile. For the past how many decades, politics has been the most important, the biggest selling point of this state. Meanwhile, you have talent here that can literally change a continent. River State is supposed to, when we talk about tourism, the kind of things I have experienced in this place, believe me, you're just wondering, why is this thing not working, right? You have the kind of, do you know how when you see something, it is refined? I've met a lot of people that were not raw materials. I used to explain this to someone because I've worked in music radio and now talk radio. There are some artists that we met fully formed, but the first time we met them, we did not see them grow. Burna Boy, first time I heard Burna Boy, I was like, where is this guy from? I never saw his humble beginning. First time we were introduced to P Square, he was complete. There are lots of people in Rivers that when you meet them, they are not building. They're already at the point where just give me a stage, right? I am refined. But somehow that stage does not exist. The stages that are available to them are cracked and they could fall off that stage. And this is what kills me. Do you know that when we talk about private sector support and funding, the amount of support, and it's very sad, that music has gotten from fraud is alarming. When I used to work where I used to work before, there were so many people who had music careers to promote. And the guy who was backing them was a Yahoo boy. So many. I had contacts of so many Yahoo boys who were MDs, CEOs, and heads of record labels that needed to promote their artists. And I'm just conflicted. Like, we all know what this guy does. This guy is a criminal. But this criminal is the one who's supporting the career of some hardworking artist who really wants to make it, who you know is good. So, should we wait for government?
Sir.
No.
Hello, sir.
We should not wait for government. What?
Just to step in, I have a question for you that is just in line with what you're saying. I'll just like you to, just give me some time to just put it well forward, right? So I want to say that in recent times, the radio industry, so to speak, has, sort of overshadowed television in the River State. This definitely has a reason behind it. We would want to know, and then again, how to even make it even more, better. Like I'm talking about the entire media space, both radio and television in River State, to make it a bit more balanced, right? So two things. What's the reason behind, this sudden overshadowing, sudden overtaking of television by radio, and then again, what can be done? What else can be done for the entire media space in River State to, be more stable and more balanced? So after you,
So I'm going to ask you.
to speak. Yeah.
I'm going to answer the question by asking you a question. What's your favorite local TV station in River State?
Back in the days, I want to say back in
No,
the days.
not back in the day. This conversation is not back in the day. As of today, what's your favorite local TV station?
I will say AIT.
Yes.
I'll say AIT.
Your silence is the answer. The fact that you have to think about it and do like this, and that's the answer to your question.
Okay.
The reason why radio has overtaken TV is because of quality. It's that simple.
Okay.
There is nothing worth attention on today's local TV in River State. And I mean that in the best possible way. You can't pay me to watch local TV today. Like you sit me down for 1 hour, say, watch so and so TV, I will give you 100,000 naira. Around 10, 15 minutes, I'll say, you know what? I've lost the bet. We have radio stations that have provided quality. That's simply what it is. Now, I know it's different forms of media, right? Radio is audio, TV is gravitates in the position of people. We all know somebody who does business in a part of town that is inaccessible. But because of how good the person's fish is or the person's bole is, people would go there to go and buy it. Excellence, quality attracts people. The radio stations right now are way better than the local TV stations. It's that simple. So that's why the overtaking has happened. And it's not sudden, right? There are amazing private radio stations. There's a brand I work for. There's the Megalectrics family. There are many other people who are doing wonderful things. Programs that you can listen to and you're like, my goodness, you don't want it to be over. Another thing, and of course, I'm trying not to bring Lagos too much into this conversation. The brand I work with, we have stations across the country. I see a senator here. He used to be my colleague. Our biggest station in River State is Nigeria Info and Wazobia. Our biggest station in Lagos is Cool FM. Same brand. Why? Because of the market. Entertainment is what is doing it for Lagos. Politics. My goodness. Do you know that? Now we have conversations on radio. I can literally go on the air on Monday. I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. No context. Turn on the microphone and say, Wiki and Fubara, now wow. Then call the phone lines. And I will receive calls for 1 full hour. I didn't give context. I did not give a story. There was nothing. I just mentioned 2 characters. And the people of Rivers will continue to call. And you will hear their contributions and be like, did Sam ask them a question? But you will get answers. Politics is the bread and butter of this region. Now, it's going to take a while before it gets back to my turn. What I want to advocate is that we begin to tell our own stories in a way that politics is not the only thing, because I doubt that politics will not be relevant. I really doubt, right? That's really not going to happen anytime soon. But when we look up Port Harcourt, River State, let it be that Wike is killing whoever is killing on the left, but then on the right, you're hearing of creatives, you're hearing of this community, a group of young people who are so bold, bright, and beautiful that they are doing amazing things. That is also worth your attention. Finally, before I leave, one of the most iconic figures from this part, right? The most celebrated, I don't think there's any figure who's bigger than him. Ken Saro-Wiwa. That's the biggest iconic figure from Rivers and maybe the Niger Delta. Obviously, because of what he stood for, and more importantly, for the ultimate sacrifice which he paid. But Ken Saro-Wiwa lives on because we continue to tell his story. That's a fact. It's a piece of history that has been reserved. But even worse, Ken Saro-Wiwa lives on because people from outside River State have told his story louder than those in here. He has been honored in every part of the world. There are streets, monuments, statues. When you talk activism, he's the first name that comes to mind. I promise you. If the duty of preserving the legacy of Saro-Wiwa was left to Rivers people, it's possible we will not know as much as we do. Now, the Ogoni thing, there's the Ogoni 9. Remember, there's the Ogoni 4. Some people either do not know about the Ogoni 4 or do not know enough. Why? Because one story has been promoted above the other. I'm not saying one is more important than the other, but the stories you choose to tell, that is what rings through history. History is not what happened. History is what you recorded. You need to tell your own stories and portray yourself the way you need to be represented. That's a fact. So in 25 years, when it's 2050, in 30, 50 years, the people there will only know the stories you have told well today and what you want them to know. Because as iconic as Ken Saro-Wiwa is, he can be forgotten in as little as 20 years. In 2 decades, you can mention the name Ken Saro-Wiwa and somebody's like, who is that? And you'll be like, blood of Jesus, I can't believe this. We did not tell the story enough. So while we are seeking solutions and looking for funding from both public and private sectors, those who are stars in their own rights and those who are building, please ensure to tell your own stories. Nobody will do it for you. Thor, who is some god from Norse mythology that the day Thursday was named after, his story has been told so much that now he's a Marvel superhero. But in your community, you have heroes. Do you know every now and then I have to on radio talk about Joe Blankson, a guy who's a literal superhero. After Jesus Christ and some iconic figures, Joe Blankson should come to mind because he died saving people. They are both capsized and he went into the water to save about 13 people and he died in that process. This was like 3-4 years ago. And there are people in Port Harcourt who do not know Joe Blankson. Like when you talk about superheroes, that's the person who died saving people. We're not telling those stories. So while we're doing all we're doing, we're looking for funding, we want to promote rivers, we want to establish the market, we want to preserve history. Please tell your own stories. Else they will be forgotten or they will be told by someone else and you'll be misrepresented. Sorry for taking too much time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you so much. Firstly, I want to apologize for how much we've stretched this meeting. Firstly, because of some technical glitches, and then again, because of the depth of our conversation thus far. But we'll promise to wrap this up in the next 15 to 20 minutes, or even lesser. Thank you so much. I can see Mama Hilda and Casimir with their hands raised up. So we'll take Casimir first to wrap up this session, then have Mama Hilda speak to what she has to speak. So Casimir, please, over to you.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. So I just want to jump in, and I know that this is actually the first time I'm speaking since the meeting started. So thank you, policy shaper. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Bira, as well. I'm just going to add to what my colleague from another station has said, Sam. Another reason I think that radio is still relevant, not just in Nigeria, or not just in River City, Nigeria, really, is because, and we've evolved as well, technology has evolved. I think now everybody wants to stream, everybody is trying to use the internet, especially when it comes to visual media or visual content. There's really no local content that is worthy enough to even ask investors to want to promote. Whatever it is a global, we're looking at the global market. And so there's that evolution that has caused TV to be, especially local content TV, to be a bit, in fact, now obsolete, and then radio to continue to go as far as it is going. Also, because for radio, there's really not so many alternatives to audio medium. Radio, podcasting, music, that's it, pretty much. So again, radio is irrelevant. And I think that in the next 25 years, maybe something else might take that space. But for now, it's important that, just like some of us have said here, we promote our local content. we tell our stories the best way we can. And I'm going to speak from the perspective of a media player or practitioner, which is, I think it was Jennifer who said she did something here, but then she got a call from Lagos because either it was a national newspaper, national paper that took that thing, or some Lagos-based thing, media house that took the story. And that's also because there is little or no communication or partnership here with media organization. I'm going to just hammer on this, and that's it. I think that what we're doing now, I think it was Priya that also said this. What we're doing now, which is discussing, is something that we should do as we go forward, as we look forward to a better River State in the next 25 years. We need to have more of these meetings, more of these discussions where the people who are active players in the game can sit with people who, number one, who can fund it, and then who actually would do the work, and also the audience as well. Because again, you can't just stay in your house and produce content and throw it there and just hope it works, or hope somebody just buys it, especially in River State, where we know that the market is not as big as Lagos. So it's important that we have these discussions from time to time. Let investors know what the practitioners are planning to do, and a sense of what the market is like. So that it's better for us, so that when a content comes out, it won't be difficult to sell. For example, but a festival, it's obviously that's something that started a little bit low key, and then this is where it is almost a global brand, or you say national brand if you think about it. It didn't just start like that, and we're just hoping that things would work. It was just River Story, making it Rivers and branding as such, and also pushing it in that way. So we must tell our stories and retell our stories and keep telling them, but find more innovative ways to tell them. But every single player in the room must understand what their roles are and partner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Casimir. Okay, before we have Mama Hilda speak, in a way to wrap up, while speaking, you can just also factor in this particular question. Please just also let us know, what is the reverse of your dream in the next 25 years? Where do you see River State, or where would you want to see River State in the next 25 years? I would just like you to incorporate this as a way of wrapping up. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I think I should answer the rivers of my dream, not where I think I will see rivers. Because with all the politics going on, I'm not sure I know where I'm going to see rivers. The rivers of my dream will be, nobody likes to go back in time, but I would love to go back in time to when I was a child growing up in Port Harcourt, when children had playgrounds in every block. Every block of Port Harcourt had a playground, and I mean all of town, all of D-line, and those playgrounds today, they are everything but playgrounds. They are total nonsense. So I don't even want to go. So I want my playgrounds back. I won't be at the age, but that was where creative gifts were explored. Those playgrounds were where children rode their first bicycles, told their first stories, did their first paintings and all of that. That was where we sang our first songs. So I would like to have that back. I would like to have the same rivers where we had trees and flowers and all of that. But importantly, what I would really like to have is that place where families lived in peace and loved themselves, where your business will thrive no matter how small it is, no matter the corner where it is, people will be part of your business. Having said that, let me just that's the answer to the last question so that I go back. What I wanted to add to what Sam was saying is that this business, the creative business, entertainment, is not even a government's business. It is a private sector business. Now, the truth of the matter is that the practitioners are not the ones who are supposed to be discussing the business element of the business. It's a show and a biz. So the people that are missing in this business are the business people of the show. Is anybody there? Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I
we can-
don't know.
Yes,
Okay,
we can.
fantastic. So we don't have those business people. Two, because of politics, people have stopped daring in River State. So we need people who will dare themselves and push forward so that we all can start this business small and grow it big. After all, when we started Nollywood, we were not more than 14 persons. And then from that 14 to how many 100,000 million now? So we need to not worry so much about a whole lot of people. We should just worry about getting committed people to keep doing this. And then finally, so that I don't dominate this conversation, what I'd like to add here is Sam said something, tell your own story. You know, the average reverse person will say, I don't like to blow my trumpet. But you see, in the business of entertainment, trumpet is part of it. You must blow your trumpet. I'm one of the people who have never ever loved the act of blowing trumpet. But I see also what it's doing to me. I see that it's not good. People, the luck I have is that at the time we entered the industry, we were in front of everybody, we're on top of everybody's nose. So you can't wish me away. Otherwise, with the way that I live, nobody should remember. Did you know that when what led to amnesty program was me, Hilda Dokubo, going to Delta State to bring out the women and children from Mekerekoko? Did I say that story anywhere? But they know. Okay, so I agree with him that we need to begin to tell our stories. Otherwise, nobody will remember the things we have done. They will just say the things they want. And it's, yes, I mean, Maya's story is almost dying. People are already forgetting. People are forgetting that Street to Star ran and pushed people forward for 5 full years on my account. So I agree with him totally that we must do that. And finally, you see this business, it has more redundant hours than active hours. We need to find activity for the redundant hours of entertainment and make them profitable hours. Next time when we have a conversation, I'll be able to push and explain what I mean by more redundant hours than active hours so that people can begin to plan towards it. Thank you very much for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed this session. Thank you, Sam, for adding to what I have learned. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Love you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you for your time. We totally enjoyed having you here. Thank you for all the wise words you've said to us. Now over to Mr. Priye Isokrari for his final words. So thank you so much, sir, for your time. We totally really appreciate every minute you've spent with us. Please, the rivers of your dreams as you wrap up, sir.
Yeah, before I get into the rivers of my dreams, I want to speak on from the perspective of a business person, because I'm not a practitioner, I'm not a singer, I'm not an actor. I've been an investor in this space. I've been an investor in this space since I was 25. I started my record label in Port Harcourt when I was 25 years old, just out of the passion and belief that we could build something special from River State. I schooled in America, and I saw I saw what my first internship was at the country music label, and I saw how a niche or somewhat niche brand that was operating out of one state, Nashville, in America, had such a dominant industry. They had their own touring, they had their own scene, they had their own venues. And I felt like River State had its own pathway. Everything was coming out of Lagos. So when I came back, I wanted to build something here. And I've been, over the past 15 plus years, doing my own little bit. But what I've learned in that time as an investor is, and in terms of also raising money for music or the creative spaces, that you have to create value. There has to be returns, because when you start looking at it as a business, the dynamics of things change. Some of us have invested and got burnt, have recorded losses, but we've still tried our best to make the impact based off of the passion that we have for River State and wanting to see the state grow into something, fulfill its potential. I would say that, so from there, I could say my own dream for River State is that a place where creativity drives prosperity. It's not just creativity for creativity. It's creativity for documenting our history. It's creativity that's building wealth. It's creativity that is impacting the environment. Let the garden city come back to being the garden city. It's that vibrancy of having a creative space that adds to that. I would like to see more modern infrastructure, more filmmakers and designers and techpreneurs that choose River State as their choice of their base, where they want to be able to express themselves or push out their narrative and all of that. Let River State become a hub that is supposed to be. So that's my dream. And I know we've written off government, but I think as River citizens, as caring people, as caring indigenes of the state, we need to do more, to educate the government. You can't stop educating, you can't stop trying to educate, and then use our voices and use our platforms to try to push in or support people that understand. As Madam Hilda said, someone like the current governor that has shown some interest, but we're talking about the next 25 years. What are we going to do beyond the private sector? How can we, as indigenes of River State, create an atmosphere where our leaders, or the leaders that are being produced, are leaders that appreciate and understand the value of the creative space and the media space? There's so much potential, which is why I'm still partially in the business, but it has to be a full-on ecosystem that would require some government support. I've never gotten 1 naira from government throughout my 15 years of doing anything in the music business. We've not received any grants, we've not received any funds. We've done partnerships with local companies, we've done partnerships with international companies that has been able to give us the funding to keep doing this based on the excellent work and value that we've shown. So that's given, but we need to also find ways to close the loop of having a government that doesn't understand the business of the creative industry and the value that can bring. Dubai, Qatar, as their pathway out of oil revenue is tourism and the creative sector. We do have a tourism development agency in the state. It might not be properly funded, might not be properly positioned to do the things, but at least there are tools that we can use and try to see how we can use those things to implement the changes that we're discussing here. Because it's not just about coming to these sessions, especially for a person like me. If I sign up for something, it's not just to come and talk about it. We have to have the action plan. At the end of this, we're going to have a document for the vision, but still there has to be a concerted effort and an action plan to make these things that we're saying actually come to pass. Thank you again.
Thank you so much once again, sir. Thank you. No truer words. We have to have an action plan. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Now over to Jenny. Jennifer, please just unmute in a few sentences. What's the reverse of your dream and your closing words? Thank you.
One second. Okay. Okay, so the rivers of my dream. Like I said, I came here 15 years ago, and I've heard a lot of stories. Oh, rivers used to be like this. Oh, rivers used to be like that. Oh, there was this. Oh, there was that. I never really met, that old rivers that people seem to, fantasize and get emotional about. But yes, for now, from the spot where I'm really hoping and praying and working towards creating that ecosystem we talked about. So the business that I do, I run Amarantine Media Production Studios. We're a production company, an indigenous story production company, and storytelling hub. But we also have a niche focus on creating wholesome, visually relatable, impactful entertainment for children and teenagers. So I'm hoping that this will be our start point, our fulcrum, the foundation, where we branch out into the rest of Africa, where we build an ecosystem here. So now I create animated series. To produce one episode of an animation that is not even up to 10 minutes long, I create employment for over 50 people, one less than 10-minute episode. That is how much more we can do if we're given the right funding, if we have the capacity to do much more. And of course, it's everything. And see, the creative space, as much as we say whatever we need to say, it is driven by funds. That's the truth. Soup way the sweet, na better money kill 'em. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to a time where we will be in that space where we can like new creatives are coming into the industry, and we are empowered enough to be able to create jobs to ensure that they are coming into a platform. They're not coming into hustle and go through the same struggles that we did. They are coming into a platform that we have been able to create by virtue of what we're doing right now, by virtue of this entire project. That's what. And I've talked with Ebenezer like many years ago. Ebenezer and I worked on a project about what was that project we had? Something about schools, revamping the educational sector. So I'm really hopeful and enthusiastic that this entire project will find footing and be the start point of something really awesome in River State and the rest of Nigeria. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your time. We are happy to have you. And thank you for the very, very valid points that you pointed out to everyone here. Thank you so much, Jennifer. So let's hear from Priye Diri, the final words, the rivers of your dream. Once more, thank you for your time too. Please unmute. Yeah.
I would say that the rivers of my dream would be the old Port Harcourt, which I grew up in. I'm very much aligned with Auntie Hilda when I talk about like there are trees everywhere. You can walk and you feel safe, and you feel like I grew up in town, so like just having the football pitch where people can play, just having that feeling where you feel at home. And as regards like the entertainment industry, I think that the rivers of my dream for that would be to have an ecosystem where we have film schools where people can actually go and learn how to be professional filmmakers. We have investors who are invested in not just making money from entertainment, but also sort of like interested in growing the entertainment hub in River State, and to have a space where we can be the ones to tell our stories ourselves. We can tell our stories ourselves. We can tell stories in our local languages. I mean, there's a wave in Nollywood where they were doing a lot of Yoruba epic stories, etc. And I was talking to my friends who are from River State and are filmmakers, Biki and the rest. I was like, what are we doing? Like, why are we not trying to tell stories like this? Yes, we have a lot of stories, War Canoe House, etc. Why are we not telling these stories and bringing it to the fore? So my dream is to have those kinds of things where we're telling our stories and people are not telling our stories for us. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Priye. Totally nice having you. Thank you so much for your time. Quickly to Casimir. Casimir, please unmute and share your thoughts and closing remarks. Once more, thank you so much for joining the call. We are totally happy to have you. Over to you, Casimir.
Thank you. So I'm just going to be very brief with this. In 25 years, the hope is there'll be a life to be a player, or I think we've categorized the sectors. We've said there are people who are practitioners, there are people who are investors, and there are people who, the audience and all that. So I hope that in the next 25 years, I would become an investor, somebody who, who is putting in, not just practicing, but also helping people grow. So the idea is everything has to come on board. The politics will also have to come on board. I think we've mentioned that politics is a huge factor, whether we like it or not. If the politics is good, investments will come. People would want to stay. The reason why people want to leave, or there are bigger markets, is because the politics is working there. So in 25 years, we hope that we will be playing better politics. Would have people that would come not just for the oil, but just come for the people, for the stories, because there is richness in Rivers State, and it cuts across the entire South, because I'm from Delta as well. We have such rich history as well, and I think that if all of these systems, the politics is put right, there are people who genuinely want to, Rivers people that is, or people who are either indigents or they've been here for a while, they think that it's time to put things back and help other people grow. If we have a pool of these kind of people, then it's important that we do the work. I don't think we can ever be short of the talents, because the city, the states is full of talents. So we must refine those talents. We must also push those talents. We must have people who would want to stay and improve the Rivers State, thanks to Madam Hilda. And I think because Kil Baba wasn't here, we didn't hear so much about comedy, but I think comedy is doing great. I think there's much more to be done, but on that front, they're pushing their craft, and they're doing so well. And I think the next 10 years, hopefully, since we're having this discussion now, and actions that will follow from here, would have film do better as well, and radio and TV and every other thing in between. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said. Thank you so much, Casimir, once more for your time. And finally, to Sam. Sam, thank you once again for your time. You've been of very, very much immense support to the team as well. And we're happy to have you and happy to hear all that you had to share. Finally, from you, your closing remarks and your idea or your picture of Rivers State in the next 25 years.
Well, it's everything everyone has said. My particular concern will be security. I have family here now, so I have a stake in Rivers. The safety of the state is the safety of my people by extension. But I know that security is a byproduct. If everything everybody has talked about works, then Rivers State will be secure. If you have a system that works, policies, entertainment, and all of that, you have a lot of young people gainfully employed, and insecurity would not be necessary. Why should I carry gun, follow a politician, or do something crazy when I can actually be celebrated for my craft? Right? If I can be seen, because one of the main things that people want, besides being gainfully employed, is also to be seen, to be noticed. If there are systems in place that can pay me, can notice me, can enhance what I have to offer, there might be no need to wield a firearm or whatever. So if the system works, security would work. All right. And if it does, my family, because that's the selfish angle, will be safe. And then we're good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. And a big thank you to every one of our speakers for their time and for the wholesome conversation that we had here. I believe that all the things that have been shared here will form a very, very integral part of the vision book. Thank you once again to the focus group team and the task force at large for this opportunity. Over to Eben to conclude the session. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Bira. I can't say thanks enough to the speakers, to the experts, to making the conversation really, really engaging. Thanks. This insights will be well credited with your photos, your names, everything. This is an investment into the future. So thanks a lot for joining us on this wild journey. We just imagined and said, what if we do something about the challenges that we're facing? And we're really happy that we're encouraged that we have people like you joining us to do this. So for those who are not the experts, others who are just learning about the project, please visit rivers2050.org. There's a button there for you if you want to join the task force, if you want to know what's happening all the conversations we'll be having for this coming month, for July. We're speaking to experts from Norway. We're speaking to an expert from Lagos as well, the Honorable Commissioner of Planning in Lagos as well. So please stay in touch through our social media channels, our Rivers 2050 on Twitter and Rivers 2050 Vision on Facebook. So please stay in touch and we'll be happy to keep you updated on everything going on. Thanks again, everyone. And I don't want to say thanks again, but I've said so much thanks. But thank you so much and have a great rest of your evening. And see you on our next conversation. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. So, thank you so much, Ebenezer. Thank you to the rest of the team as well.